The First Blade of Sweetgrass, a Native American Story. Story by Suzanne Greenlaw and Gabriel Frey. Illustrations by Nancy Baker. The First Blade of Sweetgrass, a Native American Story. Story by Suzanne Greenlaw and Gabriel Frey. Illustrations by Nancy Baker. As grandmother's blue truck crested the hill, Musquan saw the ocean for the first time that day. The water's surface sparkled in the sunlight. "Look, Ukomi, is this where we pick sweetgrass?" Musquan asked excitedly. "Yes, Musquan," grandmother said. "Sweetgrass grows in the salt marsh where the river meets the ocean." "My grandmother brought me here when I was a girl. She was my first sweetgrass teacher. Every summer I would help her pick sweetgrass to weave into her baskets." Our people have been coming here to pick sweetgrass for generations. We call it Wemeli, and we use it in ceremony as well as baskets. Sweetgrass is a spiritual medicine for us. Walking into the marsh, Musquan saw the grass dance with the wind. All the grasses shone bright against the sun. "Ukomi, how will I tell which grass is sweetgrass?" she asked. "All the grass looks the same." "I'll show you, Tuss," said grandmother. "But then you must try to find it on your own while I pick enough sweetgrass for the baskets I will sell next summer." Grandmother stopped in the shade of a big tree and put down their bag. "This is where we'll pick," she said. "It's important to remember that we never pick the first blade of sweetgrass we see. If we never pick the first blade, we will never pick the last one. We must make sure there will be sweetgrass here for the next generation." "Come here, Tuss," grandmother said. "Bend down and look at the grasses closely. Sweetgrass has a shiny green tassel and blades and a purple stem, and it gives itself to you. If you tug lightly on a piece of sweetgrass, it will let go. If you have to pull hard, you are not pulling sweetgrass." "I see it, Okomi," Musquan said confidently. "I know how to pick sweetgrass." Musquan got down on her knees and was enveloped by grass. She could see her grandmother's head through the tips of the tall grass. The air felt cooler close to the ground, and the thin whine of mosquitoes grew distant. Musquan looked for the purple-stemmed sweetgrass, but all the grasses looked the same. Frustrated, she started to pull at any stems she could reach. Some broke off where she tugged, others pulled out of the soil. Musquan stood up with a handful of grass. "Okomi, look at all the sweetgrass I picked," she said. Grandmother smiled. "Tuss, that is a good first try, but that is not sweetgrass. I'll show you again." She knelt beside Musquan and said, "First you have to look at the different grasses and get to know them. Do you see this grass with a thick stalk and a light green color? That is not sweetgrass. This plant has a small white flower. That is not sweetgrass either. Sweetgrass is a shiny emerald green with a purple bottom." "Sit here and take your time. Your ancestors are here with you. My grandmother is here with you, helping you." Musquan sat in the cool air and watched the colors of the grass shift with the wind. A large bird flew into the marsh, then glided onto the water. She looked at her grandmother and saw that she had already picked a lot of sweetgrass. Musquan closed her eyes and thought about her grandmother as a little girl in this very same place. She thought about her ancestors here in the marsh. Slowly, the smell of sweetgrass drifted by her. It was the same sweet hay smell. that there was in her grandmother's basket room. Musquan opened her eyes and smiled. In the distance, she could see her ancestors picking sweetgrass in the marsh with her. She looked down at the grasses again. The beautiful emerald green color of the sweetgrass popped out from all other grasses. She could see it. Musquan reached eagerly to pick up the first blade of sweetgrass she saw, but then stopped. Remembering her grandmother's words, Musquan reached past the first blade of sweetgrass and tugged lightly on the next one. She felt the roots let go of the soil as the grass gave itself to her. "Look, Homie, I have sweetgrass!" Musquan exclaimed. "Kuli Kiset, Tuss, that's right," Grandmother said. "Next, I will teach you how to braid sweetgrass into baskets." Musquan picked while catspaws of wind chased each other in darker fans of the blue bay. She was excited to get home and show her parents all the sweetgrass she had picked. Perhaps next summer she could teach her younger sister, Alamoset, how to pick sweetgrass. A note from Suzanne and Gabriel. The Wabanaki Confederacy, the people of First Light, comprises the Maliseet, Mi'kmaq, Abenaki, Passamaquoddy, and the Penobscot nations. Our territories once covered present-day Maine, parts of Quebec, and the maritime provinces of Canada. Though our lands are much reduced today, the Wabanaki remain a thriving and vibrant community. Sweetgrass is a perennial grass that grows in rhizomatous mats, that is, by means of horizontally spreading rootstocks, in salt marshes and freshwater meadows in the northern United States, southern Canada, northern Europe. The sweetly scented emerald green grass holds spiritual, economic, and cultural importance for the Wabanaki and many other First Nations across the continent. It is used in smudging ceremonies, a spiritual practice among Native peoples. It is also a ceremonial gift, and it is woven into baskets. The sweetgrass baskets sold in coastal tourist communities by the Wabanaki basket makers starting in the 1800s were referred to as fancy baskets due to their elaborate weaves and designs. Sales of these baskets, typically woven with finely braided sweetgrass on the base of black ash, often provided a large portion of a family's yearly income. Through thousands of years of harvesting sweetgrass, the Wabanaki have accumulated extensive knowledge of sweetgrass ecology, habitat, and stewardship practices. We know that selectively harvesting sweetgrass promotes new growth. In return, the sweetgrass provides spiritual medicine, a sense of identity, and an avenue of connection with a landscape and our ancestors. Wabanaki people practice traditional sweetgrass harvesting methods in the same locations where our ancestors harvested before us.